She wanted nothing more than a peaceful Christmas, until the man who shattered her heart walked back into her life. Now, every memory she tried to bury is rising to the surface, and a secret he brings with him could change everything. In the quiet mountain town of Pine Hill Ridge, under the first snowfall of the season, Emily Dawson is about to face the past she thought she had outrun, and the truth that may heal her, or break her all over again. Where are you listening from? And don't forget to subscribe for more emotional audio stories. The December sun settled softly over Pine Hill Ridge, a small mountain town tucked between rolling forests and misty hills, where every street looked like it had been brushed with nostalgia. The cobblestone roads caught the warm light of late afternoon, and the smell of cinnamon, pine needles, and fresh-baked ginger cookies drifted from porch to porch, inviting anyone passing by to slow down and breathe. It was that time of year when everything felt both alive and fragile. At the heart of it all walked Emily Dawson, 32 years old, an event decorator with a gift for turning ordinary places into pure magic, and a heart held together with quiet, careful stitching. She crossed the town square carrying a box filled with handmade ornaments she'd crafted in late-night hours. Her soft brown hair danced with the winter breeze, and her eyes, always bright, always observing, reflected the massive Christmas tree standing atop the gazebo. The tree gleamed with warm amber lights and tiny hand-carved wooden angels. Every year, Emily outdid herself, and every year, the whole town waited to see what she would create. But behind the polite smile she offered to passers-by, there was something unspoken. A familiar ache. A story Christmas never let her forget. 3 years earlier, on December 23, Emily had been abandoned by Caleb Brooks, her first love, the boy who became her future, and then walked away from it without a word. He disappeared without goodbye, without explanation, without even turning back. He left her on Christmas Eve with silence as her only answer, and a heart she had to learn to hold in pieces. Since then, Emily had buried herself in work. Garlands. Grand events. Decorations that dazzled everyone, while she collapsed quietly at night. Every wreath she crafted felt like another attempt at stitching her own soul back together. But that year, something felt different. The air felt heavier. Charged. As if destiny were pulling chairs into place, preparing a stage for something she wasn't ready to face. While Emily tied golden ribbons along the railings of Harmony Hall, where the annual Christmas concert would take place, her best friend Rachel walked up with 2 cups of hot chocolate. "You're seriously working till Christmas dinner?" Rachel asked, handing her a cup. "If they let me, yes," Emily answered with a shy smile. "This year's concert has to be special." "You say that every year." Rachel narrowed her eyes, reading her in that way only true friends can. "But something's off. You've been distant. What's going on?" Emily sighed. "It's just the season. December always hits me harder than it should." Rachel tilted her head. "Is it because of him?" Emily froze. That silence was answer enough. It's been 3 years." "I know," she interrupted, tightening a red ribbon. "But some memories, they don't fade. They wait." Before Rachel could reply, a faint melody drifted across the square, probably a kid practicing violin. A sweet, melancholic tune that seemed to slip straight into Emily's chest. Across the street, a black car pulled up quietly near the fountain. The engine shut off. For a moment, nobody stepped out. Then the door opened. A tall man stepped onto the pavement, leather jacket, a grown-out beard, and a face marked by years that hadn't been kind. It was Caleb. He stood there for several seconds, breathing deeply, as if the cold air could help him gather courage. His eyes followed every detail of the town, the lights strung between the trees, the old frozen lemonade stand where he and Emily had shared summers, the tiny bookstore on the corner where she'd wait for him while reading poetry. 3 years. 3 long, unforgiving years. And now he was back, seemingly ready to face everything he had run away from. In his hand, he held a wrinkled envelope. Inside it was something that had haunted him every single day since he left. Something he could no longer keep carrying alone. Inside Harmony Hall, Emily climbed a ladder to test the starry sky panel she had built for the stage, a masterpiece of tiny lights that took days to assemble. But her hands weren't steady. Her heart beat too fast, too loudly, as if warning her that something was coming. "Emily," called Mrs. Rosa, the hall's manager, a warm woman in her 60s with boundless energy. "Come here a second, sweetheart." "What happened?" "There's a young man asking for you." "A client?" "No idea, but the way he said your name, honey, only someone who loved you deeply says it like that." Emily felt her stomach tighten. "Where is he?" "Right at the entrance." Emily walked toward the hall doors, and when she looked up, there he was. Caleb Brooks. Standing in the lobby, hands in his pockets, staring at her as if she were the first warm light he had seen in months. Time didn't stop. It didn't slow down. It wasn't cinematic. It was real. Sharp. Painfully real. Emily forgot how to breathe. She wasn't ready. Not for him. Not for what he represented. Not for the man who had shattered her world and left her to pick up the pieces alone. Caleb took a step toward her. "Emily." That was all it took. Her name and his voice hit her chest like a punch. "No," she said quickly, raising her hand. "Don't. Not here." Caleb stopped, respecting the invisible wall she had just built between them. Emily took a shaky breath. Her heart was racing, too fast, too hard, like it was trying to escape from her own chest. "What are you doing here?" she finally asked. Caleb swallowed hard. "I came back." "I can see that. But, why?" He hesitated. And in that moment, Emily saw something in him she had never seen before: fear. Not the kind of fear that makes you run, but the kind that makes you stand still, even when you're trembling inside. "I needed to see you," he said. "I needed to talk to you. To explain." Emily laughed, a bitter, disbelieving sound. "Explain? After 3 years?" "I know I don't have the right." Caleb took another step forward, slowly, carefully measuring each movement. "But I'm going to try anyway." Emily opened her mouth to respond, but Rachel suddenly appeared behind her, arms crossed like a shield. "Look, Caleb," she said firmly. "This isn't a good time." "There will never be a good time for this," he replied, never taking his eyes off Emily. "Exactly," Rachel shot back. "And there's no reason for you to be here." "Rachel," Emily said quietly. "Let him." Her friend hesitated but stepped back, though she stayed close enough to intervene if needed. Emily turned her full attention to Caleb, a look that mixed hurt, longing, and a storm of unanswered questions. And Caleb, taking a deep breath, did something he had never done before. He lowered his head. A simple gesture, but heavy with everything he had never had the courage to face. Guilt. Regret. Or maybe, a love that never actually died. But Christmas was coming. And fate seemed determined to reopen doors that Emily had sworn she would never walk through again. The night fell over Pine Hill Ridge like a dark velvet curtain. The streets filled with families window shopping under twinkling lights, children pointing at department store Santas, couples holding hands and breathing in the cold air that whispered promises of holiday magic. It was the kind of night that made people believe anything was possible, that wounds could heal, that losses could be recovered, that time could somehow turn backward. Emily had left Harmony Hall without saying another word to Caleb. She'd only asked Rachel to walk him to the door and close it behind him. It wasn't cruelty. It was survival. Now, in her small apartment above the Enchanted Holidays decoration shop, Emily sat in an old armchair inherited from her grandmother, a cup of ginger tea cooling in her hands. The walls around her were covered with photos, but not of her personal life. Only of events she had created. Radiant weddings. Colorful birthday parties. Hopeful graduations. Notably, no photos of herself. As if by documenting everyone else's happiness, she could avoid confronting her own emptiness. She stared at her phone, waiting for a message that wouldn't come. Or maybe, hoping it wouldn't. When the phone rang, she nearly dropped the tea. It was her mother. "Sweetheart, how are you doing?" asked Mrs. Cecilia Dawson, her voice warm but carrying that maternal tone that detects lies from miles away. "I'm good, Mom. I finished decorating for the concert. It looks beautiful." "Of course it does. You have a gift for this." Her mother paused. "But Emily, are you really okay? And I mean truly?" Emily straightened up, as if better posture could strengthen her voice. "I'm fine, Mom. It's just December again. You know how it affects me." "I do, honey." Mrs. Cecilia's voice took on that tone that mixed compassion with firmness. "But you need to let this go. Caleb didn't deserve you. And you deserved so much more than being trapped in a past that won't come back." Emily's throat tightened. "Mom, how did you even know that?" "Pine Hill Ridge is small, sweetheart. Mrs. Rosa called me. She said Caleb showed up at Harmony Hall looking for you." Emily closed her eyes. "He came back, Mom." "I know. And that scares you." "It's not fear, Mom. It's anger. It's confusion. It's everything mixed together." Mrs. Cecilia took a deep breath on the other end of the line. "Let me tell you something I've never told you before. When your father and I met, he was a man full of dreams. Big dreams. And me? I had my own plans. I wanted to be a teacher in a big city. But then I met him and everything changed." "Mom. Let me finish, honey. For many years, I blamed him for making me give up my dreams. I blamed him for keeping me here in Pine Hill Ridge. But you know what I learned? That giving up your dreams for someone is different from building new dreams with someone. The question isn't whether you stay or go. The question is, wherever you are, will you be building a life you want, with someone you love?" Emily felt tears burn her eyes. "But what if he leaves again, Mom? Then you'll have to decide if it's worth the risk." "But Emily, staying here, safe, afraid, that's also a risk. It's the risk of never finding out what could have been." After hanging up, Emily opened her apartment window. The town square glowed like a movie set. And that's when she saw him again. A man was walking slowly down the street, stopping occasionally to look at the decorations, as if searching for something, or maybe, trying to recognize something he had left behind. Even from a distance, even after all these years, Emily recognized that silhouette instantly. The way he walked. His posture. How he tilted his head when he was observing something. It was Caleb. Her heart jumped. She shut the window quickly, as if the simple act of not seeing could make that vision disappear. But the image was already burned into her mind, and with it, an avalanche of emotions she had carefully buried for 3 years. Down below, Caleb stood in front of Emily's decoration shop. He knew it was there. He had researched before coming back, discreetly, through a mutual friend who still lived in town. He knew Emily had built a business, that she was respected, that she had become the woman he always knew she would be. And it hurt him even more. Because he had left believing he would leave her behind, that she would find someone better, that his absence would just be a temporary inconvenience. But life had moved on without him, and Emily had flourished, not because she had forgotten him, but despite never forgetting him. Caleb took a deep breath and walked into the shop. The interior was exactly as he had imagined, warm, welcoming, filled with details that revealed Emily's impeccable taste. Handmade garlands hung on the walls, hand-blown glass ornaments sat on wooden shelves, and in the center stood a small but perfect tree, decorated with white lights and golden ribbons. An older woman, whom Caleb recognized as the manager of Harmony Hall, was tending the shop. "Good evening," said Caleb. "Good evening, dear. Looking for something?" "Actually, I'm looking for Emily." "Is she here?" The woman, Mrs. Rosa, studied him with that gaze that seemed to read souls. "She left a while ago. But she left a message in case you came back." Caleb felt his heart race. "A message?" Mrs. Rosa walked to the counter and pulled out a white envelope. She said, "If he comes back, tell him I need time. Time to understand if he really changed, or if it's just Christmas messing with his head." Caleb took the envelope with trembling hands. "How much time?" "She didn't say. But my guess? A few days. The Christmas concert is in 3 days. Maybe she'll talk to you after that." In the days that followed, Caleb became a constant presence in Pine Hill Ridge. He appeared at Emily's decoration shop, helping organize ornaments. He was there during concert preparations, moving boxes of lights and adjusting structures. And in every interaction, there was a gentleness, an attentiveness, a way of being that suggested he was genuinely trying to be better than he had been. But Emily was confused. Part of her wanted to believe he had changed, that his return was genuine. Another part, the part that had been wounded so deeply, screamed at her to protect her heart, to not fall again into the trap of believing promises that could be broken. One night, while Emily and Caleb were alone in the shop, organizing the last ornaments for the concert, he finally told her his story. Caleb was sitting on a box of decorations, his fingers gently touching a small ceramic angel, the same angel Emily had bought on a trip to the mountains years ago, when they were still together. "When I left here," he began, his voice low and careful, "I was afraid. Afraid I wasn't enough for you. Afraid you'd realize I was just an ordinary guy with no big dreams, no big plans. So when the job opportunity in New York came up, I just ran." Emily listened in silence, her fingers still organizing small glass ornaments. "But here's the thing," Caleb continued. "The more I ran, the more I thought about you. I built a career, made money, traveled to incredible places. But nothing filled the emptiness I left behind when I walked away." Emily stopped working. "Caleb. Let me finish, please," he said, raising his hand gently. 2 years ago, I had an accident. Nothing serious, but it was enough to make me stop and think. And lying in that hospital bed, with too much time to think, I realized I'd spent my whole life running from myself. And that the only thing I really wanted was to come home. Not to the town. To you." Emily felt tears burn her eyes, but she blinked them away forcefully, refusing to let them fall. "You can't just show up and expect everything to go back to normal, Caleb. You can't expect me to forget what you did." "I don't expect that," he answered, standing up and walking toward her. But he stopped at a respectful distance, as if he understood there were boundaries he shouldn't cross. "I just hope you'll let me try to be better. Let me be here now, this Christmas. And after you decide if you want me to stay or if you want me to leave again. But this time it'll be your choice. Not mine." Emily looked at him, really looked at him, and saw something she had never seen before. Not the boy who had left, but a man who had carried the weight of his choices and was now willing to face the consequences. But life, as always, liked to complicate things. The next day, Lucas Adams showed up at Emily's shop. Lucas was a 33-year-old man, successful, with a smile that looked rehearsed in front of a mirror. He had moved to Pine Hill Ridge 2 years ago and had seen Emily's work on social media. Now, he had a proposal that could change everything. "Emily, great to see you," he said, offering his hand for a firm handshake. "I saw your work at Harmony Hall. It's incredible." "Thank you, Lucas. It's always a pleasure to create something special for the town." "Well, I have a proposal for you." Lucas sat down, crossing his legs with the elegance of someone used to negotiations. "I'm opening a luxury tourism company, headquartered in Denver. And I need someone to coordinate high-end events. Someone with your talent." Emily felt her heart accelerate. "Denver?" "Yes. It would be excellent pay, triple what you make now. You'd have a team, unlimited resources, and the opportunity to work with international clients. It's the opportunity you've always dreamed of." Emily listened to the proposal with genuine interest. It was everything she had worked toward: recognition, financial stability, the chance to grow professionally. But there was a problem: the position required her to move to Denver, leaving Pine Hill Ridge behind. "I need to think about it," Emily said. "Of course. But I need an answer by the 25th. After that, I'll have to look for someone else." When Lucas left, Emily was alone with her thoughts, and with the feeling that fate was testing her. That night, Emily was in her apartment when she received a call from her brother, Mark Dawson. Mark was 3 years older than Emily and had been in a wheelchair since an accident at the lumber mill where he worked, 5 years earlier. But his physical disability had never diminished his ability to see through people. "Hey, Em," he said, using the nickname only he used. "You doing okay?" "Yeah, Mark. Everything's good." "Why?" "Because Mom called me saying Caleb came back." "And that you're confused?" Emily sighed. "He did come back. But I don't know what to do." "Let me tell you something," Mark said, his voice taking on that wise tone he had developed after the accident. "When I had my accident, I spent months angry. Angry at God, angry at myself, angry at everything. And you know what saved me?" "What?" "You. You came here every single day, even when I was being a complete jerk. And you never gave up on me. So let me ask you, do you think Caleb deserves the same chance you gave me?" Emily felt the tears finally fall. "But what if he leaves again? Then you'll have to decide if it's worth the risk." "But staying here, safe, afraid, that's also a risk. It's the risk of never finding out what could have been." They were the same words her mother had said. And hearing them again, this time from her brother, made Emily realize something important: maybe fate wasn't testing her. Maybe it was pushing her to face her fears. The Christmas concert was scheduled for December 22nd, 3 days away. Harmony Hall had been completely transformed by the decoration Emily had created. Golden garlands were wrapped around the columns, white lights twinkled like stars, and a large handmade nativity scene stood at the center of the stage. It was, without question, the most beautiful decoration Emily had ever created in her entire career. Caleb had helped with every detail, and as they worked side by side, there was a harmony between them that was impossible to deny. It was as if their bodies still remembered how to move together, how to work in perfect sync. But there was an underlying tension, the tension of two people who loved each other but didn't know if they could overcome the past. The night before the concert, Emily was alone at Harmony Hall, making final adjustments. Caleb appeared at the door, holding 2 coffees. "I thought you might need this," he said, offering one of the cups. Emily accepted it, and their fingers brushed, a touch so light it could have been accidental, but it sent a shiver down both their spines. "Caleb, I need to tell you something," Emily said, sitting down on a bench. Caleb sat beside her, maintaining a respectful distance. "I got a job offer," Emily continued. "In Denver. It's a really good opportunity. Triple my current salary, a team, unlimited resources." Caleb felt his heart drop. "Are you going to take it?" "I don't know," Emily answered honestly. "Because it means leaving everything behind. My shop, my clients, my mom, my brother." "And me?" asked Caleb, and there was such raw vulnerability in his voice that Emily felt her heart clench. Emily looked at him, her eyes meeting his. "You?" she repeated. "Caleb, you can't expect me to base my decisions on you. You already did that once. I put my life on hold waiting for you. And when you left, I had to learn how to live all over again." "I know," Caleb answered, and there was a sad acceptance in his words. "And you're right. You should do what's best for you. But Emily, if you go, I'm going with you. If you want me to." Emily looked at him, surprised. "What?" "I came back to Pine Hill Ridge to be near you," Caleb explained. "But I don't need to be in Pine Hill Ridge. I need to be near you. So if you go to Denver, I go too. I'll find a job there, rebuild my life there. But this time, we do it together." It was such a sincere, unguarded declaration that Emily couldn't respond immediately. And in that moment, as the lights of Harmony Hall flickered softly around them, Emily realized that a moment was coming that would change everything. But before she could say anything, her phone rang. It was Lucas. "Emily, sorry to call so late. But I need to know, are you going to accept the offer?" Emily looked at Caleb, who watched her with a mixture of hope and fear. I need to think about it a little more. Can I give you an answer after the concert?" "Sure. But remember, tomorrow is the last day of the deadline." When Emily hung up, she realized that fate had set everything in motion. And now, there was no turning back. Christmas was coming. And with it, all the answers she had been searching for. Christmas Eve arrived with a quiet hush over Pine Hill Ridge, the kind of hush that felt like the world was holding its breath. Snow fell steadily from a soft gray sky, covering rooftops, streets, and pine trees with a delicate white blanket. It was the sort of morning where even the cold felt gentle, like the town itself was trying to protect the fragile hearts living inside it. Emily barely slept. She had tossed and turned all night, her mind racing between Denver, Caleb, and the life she had carefully built piece by piece. The job offer echoed in her head like a tempting melody. Denver meant opportunity, growth, stability. Everything she had promised herself she would chase after the day Caleb walked away. But now, after his return, everything felt complicated. At 7 a.m., Emily headed down to her shop. Work was always the only thing that grounded her. As she sorted the last boxes of ornaments that needed to be delivered before the concert, her phone buzzed. A message from Caleb. "Would you have coffee with me before the concert? There's something I need to show you." Emily hesitated. Her thumb hovered over the keyboard for a full minute. Then she typed. "Meet me at the square. 10 a.m. When she arrived, he was already there, standing beside the massive Christmas tree, snowflakes gathering in his dark hair. In his hands, he held a carved wooden box. Old. Handcrafted. The kind of box meant to hold something important. "Hi," he said, offering a tentative smile. "Hi," she answered softly, her eyes immediately drawn to the box. "Come sit," Caleb motioned toward a bench lightly dusted with fresh snow. They sat side by side, watching the snow fall in slow, silent flakes. For a moment, Caleb said nothing. Then, with a trembling breath, he finally spoke. "When I left Pine Hill Ridge, I didn't just leave this town. I left everything that ever mattered. And the thing that haunted me the most was you. Every single night, I thought about you. So I started writing." He opened the box. Inside were 365 letters. One for each day of the first year he spent away. Emily froze. The sight of the letters, worn, folded, slightly yellowed, knocked the air out of her lungs. "Caleb, what is all this?" "Letters I never sent," he explained, picking up the one on top. "Every night, for a whole year, I wrote you one. And when I realized I had lost you for good, I stopped writing. But I kept them. Every single one." Emily took one with shaking hands. She recognized his handwriting instantly, the loops, the slants, the slightly crooked capital letters. She opened it. "Dear Emily, it's been 47 days since I left Pine Hill Ridge. 47 days since I became the most cowardly man alive and ran without saying a word. I'm in New York now, living in an apartment that doesn't feel like mine, doing a job I don't care about, and all I can think about is you. You must be furious. You probably hate me. And you have every right to. But I need you to know this: you were the best thing I ever had. And I threw it away like an idiot. If I could go back in time, I would do everything differently. I'd be brave. I'd stay. I'd build a life with you. Maybe it's too late. But maybe it won't be forever. Caleb." Emily felt tears sliding down her cheeks, warm against the freezing air. She pressed the letter to her chest for a moment. "Caleb, why didn't you send them?" "Because I was terrified," he said, his voice breaking. "Terrified you wouldn't want to hear from me. Terrified it was too late. Terrified that you'd moved on, and that I'd become nothing more than a bad memory." Emily returned the letter to the box and looked at him, really looked at him. "Caleb, I can't pretend everything you did didn't hurt me. You left me the day before Christmas. No explanation. No goodbye. Just disappeared. You left me with scars that took years to learn how to live with." "I know," he whispered, taking her hands gently. "And I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm asking for a chance to show you who I am now. A chance to stay, just for this Christmas. After that, you decide." Emily inhaled deeply, her breath fogging in the cold air. "Caleb. Lucas offered me a job in Denver." Caleb's shoulders tensed. "A good one?" "Very good. Salary. Resources. Team. Everything I always thought I wanted." Caleb swallowed hard. "Are you going to take it?" "I don't know. Because taking it means leaving everything behind. My shop. My family. My whole life, and you." He leaned closer, not enough to touch her, but enough that she could see every flicker of emotion in his eyes. "Emily, go to Denver. If that's what you want. You deserve every dream you ever had. But if you go, I'll go too. If you let me. I'll move. I'll build a life there. I'll make it work. Because I didn't come back to Pine Hill Ridge for the town. I came back for you. Emily stared at him, stunned. This wasn't the Caleb she knew. This wasn't the boy who ran. This was a man, steady, vulnerable, ready to stay. But before she could speak, her phone rang. It was Lucas. Emily, sorry to call so early. I need your answer. Are you accepting the job? Emily looked at Caleb, at the hope, fear, and love all tangled together. I need a little more time. Can I give you my decision after the concert? Of course. But remember, tomorrow is the final deadline. When she hung up, she felt a shift inside her, like the snow had settled over her heart, quieting everything except what truly mattered. Christmas was near. And with it, the truth she'd been avoiding. The Christmas concert was only hours away. Harmony Hall glowed with warm lights, garlands, and the starry night backdrop Emily had created. People from all over town gathered, buzzing with excitement. The scent of hot cocoa and pine filled the air. Emily watched as families took their seats, children tugged at their parents' coats, and the choir prepared behind the curtains. Caleb stood beside her, helping adjust the final lights. Looks beautiful, he whispered. Thank you, she said softly. It feels different this year. Because you're different this. Emily didn't answer, but she knew he was right. The hall darkened. The first notes of Silent Night echoed through the room. Voices blended in harmony, drifting like fragile snowflakes. Emily stood backstage, feeling something she hadn't felt in years. Peace. Caleb's hand rested gently on her back. A simple touch. A quiet promise. Out in the audience, her mother held her father's hand, tears in her eyes. Mark smiled proudly from his wheelchair. And Rachel sat behind them, whispering. I knew it. I always knew they would find their way back. As the music swelled, Emily realized her decision would come soon. But for the first time, she felt ready to face it. Christmas Eve morning slipped quietly into afternoon, and by the time the sun dipped behind the snowy hills of Pine Hill Ridge, the town glowed with lights, music, and a warm holiday hum. The concert had ended beautifully, every note, every voice, every soft flicker of light blending into something that felt almost like healing. Emily stood backstage, watching people leave Harmony Hall with smiles, warm cups of cocoa, and hearts full of Christmas spirit. She felt something unfamiliar settling inside her. A calm she hadn't felt in years. She and Caleb walked out together into the crisp evening air. Snowflakes danced around them, resting in their hair, melting on their coats. The town square was alive, families taking photos under the enormous Christmas tree, children chasing each other in the snow, couples leaning into each other for warmth. Emily and Caleb walked in silence toward the bandstand, where a small quartet played soft Christmas melodies. Their hands brushed once, twice, and on the third brush, they intertwined. It felt natural. It felt terrifying. It felt right. Caleb stopped walking. Emily, can I tell you something? She turned toward him. Of course. He took a slow breath, the kind someone takes right before saying something that costs courage. When I was in the hospital, after the accident, I spent days thinking about everything I had ruined. And all I wanted was another chance. Not at life, I already had that. I wanted another chance with you. I wanted to stop running from the people I love. And you were always the first person on that list. Emily's chest tightened, not with pain, but with tenderness she had tried to bury for years. She saw him not as the boy who left, but as the man standing in front of her now, trembling with sincerity. She stepped a little closer. I need to tell you something too, she said softly. When Lucas offered me that job, I wanted to take it. Not just because it's a great opportunity, but because running felt easier than facing everything I still felt for you. She touched her hand to her chest. But when you showed up, I realized I didn't want to run anymore. I wanted to face things. To try. To choose you. Caleb's breath caught. His voice came out barely above a whisper. So, does that mean you're staying? Emily looked around the square, the lights, the snow, the people she loved, the place that had shaped her entire life. She looked at Caleb, the man who had hurt her, yes, but also the man who had returned with honesty, regret, and a willingness to rebuild everything from zero. It means I'm choosing whatever brings peace to my heart, she said. And right now, that peace is here. With you. Caleb didn't smile right away. His eyes softened first, like a burden he had carried for too long had finally been released. Then he whispered. I'm not leaving again. Not before Christmas. Not after. Not ever again. Emily didn't say anything. She simply leaned into him, resting her head on his shoulder, letting the warmth of him melt years of coldness inside her. Above them, fake snow drifted down from the bandstand roof, mixing with real snowflakes. Bells rang in the distance. And for the first time in a long time, Emily felt like the future didn't have to be something scary. It could be something beautiful. Christmas morning arrived quietly. Golden sunlight spilled through Emily's curtains, illuminating the soft layer of snow outside. Pine Hill Ridge glowed like a postcard. It felt like the world was beginning again. Her phone buzzed. Lucas Adams. Emily exhaled slowly and answered. Emily, Lucas said gently, I just wanted to confirm, you're declining the offer? She nodded, even though he couldn't see it. Yes, Lucas. I'm staying. There was a soft pause, not of disappointment, but understanding. Then I wish you the absolute best, Emily. You deserve to be happy. And from what I saw at the concert last night, you found what you were looking for. When she hung up, there was a knock on her door. Emily opened it to find Caleb standing there, holding 2 coffees, and a bouquet of red roses dusted with snow. Merry Christmas, he said. Emily took the flowers, her eyes warming instantly. Merry Christmas, Caleb. He stepped inside, pulling her into an embrace that carried 3 years of longing, regret, and hope. Outside, snow fell gently over Pine Hill Ridge. Inside, 2 hearts finally settled into the same rhythm. 5 years later. Pine Hill Ridge still smelled like cinnamon and pine every December. The Christmas tree still lit up the square, and Harmony Hall remained the heart of the town's festivities. But some things were new. Emily's decoration shop had expanded, now a full team, dozens of clients across the region, and a reputation for creating the most breathtaking holiday scenes anyone had ever seen. And in a cozy cabin on the outskirts of Pine Hill Ridge, Emily and Caleb lived with their 2-year-old twins, Gabriel and Lily, who were currently asleep under the twinkling lights of their Christmas tree. Caleb had fully recovered from his health scare, something doctors called a miracle. He now worked as a consultant for small mountain businesses, helping revive shops and family-owned lodges throughout the region. On Christmas night, wrapped in a blanket on their porch, Caleb kissed Emily's forehead. Do you ever regret staying? He asked quietly. Not taking the Denver job? Not leaving Pine Hill Ridge? Emily looked at him, her eyes reflecting the Christmas lights glowing across the snowy field. Never. I learned that the biggest dreams aren't the ones that take you far away from the people you love. They're the ones that let you stay close to them. Caleb smiled, a gentle, grateful smile only a healed man could give. I love you, Emily. Since the first day I met you. And I'll love you until my last. I love you too. And this time, I'm letting you stay. The snow continued falling across Pine Hill Ridge, soft as a blessing. 2 lives, once broken, were whole again, not because of destiny, but because of the courage to try again. 25 years later. Time had passed with the gentleness of snow falling over Pine Hill Ridge. 25 years. 25 Christmases. 25 years of Emily and Caleb building a life that, on that frozen morning a quarter century ago, had seemed impossible. Harmony Hall was full again, but not for an ordinary concert. It was the 25th anniversary gala of the Emily and Caleb Decoration Gallery, celebrating 2.5 decades of art, love, and a dedication to preserving beauty made by human hands. Emily, now 57, walked arm in arm with Caleb, his silver hair catching the golden light, his face lined with the kind of wrinkles that come from smiling often. Together, they watched their adult children, Gabriel and Lily, now 23, working as graphic designers at the gallery, and Matthew, 20, studying architecture at the State University. But what touched Emily's heart most was seeing her grandchildren, Gabriel's twins, running freely through the decorated halls, pointing at ornaments their grandparents had crafted decades ago. Mrs. Cecilia, now 89, sat in a special chair, holding the hand of her great-granddaughter, Rose, named after Mrs. Rosa, who had witnessed Emily and Caleb's first reunion all those years ago. Mrs. Cecilia's eyes shimmered with tears of pure joy, watching the legacy of love her daughter had built. Mark, in his wheelchair now 62, sat with his own family, telling stories about how he watched his sister Emily transform pain into art, fear into courage. And Rachel. Rachel had become an internationally recognized photographer. Her most famous portfolio was a series of 365 photographs titled A Year of Waiting, capturing moments of Emily during that first year after Caleb's return. Those images had become a symbol of emotional resilience, exhibited in galleries across North America. In a special glass case at the center of the gallery sat the 365 letters. Now framed. Protected. Honored. A brass plaque beneath them read. The letters never sent that became a bridge to a second chance. A testament to the truth that genuine regret can transform lives. Thousands of people visited the gallery each year just to read those letters. Thousands found hope in those words. That night, after the guests had left, Emily and Caleb climbed to the roof of Harmony Hall, the place where they had shared so many crucial moments. Snow fell softly, as it always did in Pine Hill Ridge during Christmas. "Do you remember?" Emily asked, taking Caleb's hand. 25 years ago, I didn't know if I could forgive you. I didn't know if I could trust again." "I do," Caleb answered, kissing her hand tenderly. "And yet you gave me that chance." "I didn't give it to you," Emily corrected gently. "I gave it to myself." "The gift wasn't for you, Caleb. It was for me. It was choosing life instead of the safety of pain." Caleb smiled, that smile Emily had learned to love, the smile of a man who had been broken and chosen to rebuild himself. "You know what the most beautiful thing is?" he asked. "Our children grew up watching what real love means. Not movie love. Real love. The kind that takes courage, vulnerability, and the willingness to try again." Emily rested her head on his shoulder. "And our grandchildren, they'll see those letters and understand that regret isn't weakness. It's the first step toward redemption." The entire town glowed with Christmas lights. The same lights that had illuminated their first reunion. The same lights that had witnessed every moment of healing. And as the snow continued to fall over Pine Hill Ridge, Emily and Caleb stood in silence, not because they had nothing to say, but because everything had already been said 25 years ago. In silence. In letters never sent. In the decision to try again. The story of Emily and Caleb is not a story of perfect love. It's a story of real love. It's the story of two people who loved each other, who hurt each other, who lost each other, and who had the courage to find each other again. It's the story of how genuine regret can transform lives. It's the story of how Christmas isn't just about decorations and gifts. It's about the people we choose to have in our lives. It's about the courage to give second chances. It's about the faith that even when everything seems lost, destiny can bring back what matters most. Because the true magic of Christmas doesn't live in the ornaments. It lives in hearts that choose to heal. It lives in arms that choose to open again. It lives in souls that choose to believe that love, when it's true, always finds its way back. Thank you. Truly, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you for staying until the very end of this story. We hope Emily and Caleb touched your heart the same way they touched ours while telling their story. If this audio story moved you, we're asking you to subscribe to the channel, because every week we bring new stories. Stories of love, of overcoming, of families that reunite under the magic of Christmas. Leave a like, because your support helps us keep creating quality content for you. Share with someone you love, because we know there are people in your life who also need to hear stories like this. Stories that remind us that true love always deserves a second chance. Now, I'd like to ask you something personal. Which part of this story touched you the most? Was it the moment Emily saw Caleb for the first time after 3 years? Was it when she discovered the 365 letters he never sent? Was it when she chose to stay in Pine Hill Ridge instead of going to Denver? Or was it the epilogue, watching them build a beautiful life together? Leave your answer in the comments below. I would absolutely love to read your response. Because every comment you leave isn't just a number to us. It's a connection. It's knowing that the story reached your heart. And if there's someone in your life going through a difficult time right now, someone who's doubting whether it's worth trying again, share this story with that person. Because sometimes, all we need is a reminder that miracles do happen. Especially at Christmas. Especially when we choose to believe.